Well, here we are once again in a beautiful blue sky day. Yeah, of course, my phone let me know it's alive. I don't know if the picture is going to be I hope the video is good. It says 5G, but it's only like 3 bars. When somebody comes on, you might let me know if it's might let me know if the video is okay. We're in Warrior, Alabama today at the Piggly Wiggly. We shop over there in Summerton at Walmart when we buy certain items, and we buy our meat right here, or we buy our meat up at the brickyard, our brick house up in Cullman. Hey, Road King, is my video okay? Is it? It's not all broken up, is it? And let me know if the audio and the video is good, because it appears to be good on the signal on the screen, but that doesn't mean anything. I'm hoping your day is going for you good there, Road King. Yeah, we're sitting down here in Warrior, Alabama, in blue skies. Hey, brown chicken. Audio's good. How about the picture? How's the video? I mean, if it's pitiful, I'll turn it off, because I can see it's only got 3 bars up there. Oh, video good. Oh, good. Okay, then we won't complain about it much. You guys see me doing cooking. I cook on the channel sometimes. Uh, Video not bad. Okay, a little blow. Oh, shit, just a little blow. Oh, hell. Well, uh, damn it, I won't keep you guys in, because I did a video. I don't know if I could drive around and find a better location. Uh, I'm on AT&T. I'm on AT&T, and I think my nearest tower is probably 3 or 4 miles away. You can move sometimes just 20 or 30 feet, and the signal will be good, but can't say that to be true today. Well, here we are, in he's ignoring me. Hey, hey, little guy. You got people in here wanting to say hello to you. Huh? Boy, you're looking all nappy-eyed. He was out in the yard before we put him in the truck. We let him run loose in the yard. Oh, hell, I see it's blurred there. Let me get it back out here in the sunlight. Damn. Yeah, I'm telling you, to be in the 21st century and to live being over here in a town, you'd think they would have good video. I live out in the damn woods. You guys might have saw this last year. Ray Gregory and we rode deep into the woods of Alabama. I mean, miles from anything. And we got out off their bikes, and I was at a covered bridge, one of the largest covered bridges, 375-foot long covered bridge. And I cannot believe he went live with his camera. And before we know it, we had 30 people on the line on Ray Gregory's channel. And here, where I was living over there in the woods, where I was living in the woods, we didn't even have any form of signal. None, zero, nada. When you live in this place like Alabama is not too advanced. I mean, some people's got really good signals, and others don't have not very much. Hey, Ben Tipton, how you doing today? I'm so sorry about the video quality, but if I knew I could drive around and find a better spot, I would. But chances are it wouldn't be much better, no matter where I'm at. I think I could put it on the back camera, and it would reduce it down to 720. This is, I think, 1080p here. Anyhow, so I was back to my cooking. Over here, you see right over here, that's where I buy my spices, right there. At Ace Hardware, of all the damn places, or the reason being is they sell barbecue pits over there. And they've also got some of the best rubs in the country. We buy a rub, it's called jalapeno garlic rub. And if you take ribs, baby back ribs, and rub them down real good and put them back in the refrigerator after you rub them down with that jalapeno garlic seasoning, and let them just sit there in the refrigerator. Well, what I do, I take a shortcut. I boil my ribs to get all the solid bones. You know, when they cut the ribs, they always got little fine pieces of bone there. I boil them, and I rinse the water off, and that boiling gets rid of all the bone saw cut, and then I rub the ribs down good. Was that Sterling Will? Good morning, Sterling Will. I rub the ribs down good with that jalapeno garlic seasoning that I get from Ace Hardware right there, and then slap them puppies in the oven. And the meat will just fall off the bone, and the flavor. There are so many beautiful rubs, but I buy my seasoning right over there. They've got slap your mama. One thing we knew as boys when we was a kid, the last thing that would ever be in your mind is to slap your mama, because she'd slap the snot out of you. She didn't put up with none of that. There was no such thing as back sassing in our day. All she had to say to us, she never had to ever hit us. She said, "Wait till your daddy gets home." Now, see, your mama never lied to you. When she said, "Wait for your daddy to get home," there will always be a situation between you and your daddy before the day's over. Because she made you a promise she's going to speak to your daddy about your behavior. You're going to pay the price for your behavior. Oh, Sterling, you never got spanked. Well, you're a good guy. We were like little baby assholes, you know. We just, a little half-breed heathens, you know. My mama had Irish blood and Indian blood in her. My daddy had Indian and English. So our blood conflicted with each other, and so we was always in a state of war. We were they would call us hellraisers, heathens. You remember when the Romans got up into England up in there? They built a wall called the Hadrian Wall. And everything south of the wall was civilization. Everything that was north of the wall was heathen. And that's where my family came from. They all was above that wall. My whole family. What you see, little buddy? He's looking for my lady friend. You see anybody over there, little buddy? Hey, come on. He's You all right? You all right, buddy? He likes that cool air. blowing through the. Oh, I forgot about that. I'll lose my signal when I get over in the truck. Question and answer sticker. Something you can't believe is real. Mamas, don't let your baby grow up to be a truck driver. They got a woman in every port. Well, when I was a young trucker in the San Joaquin Valley, I used to drive up and down the Golden State Highway. That's the old 99. That was the main thoroughfare from Mexico to Canada was old 99. And me and this buddy of mine, I call him Tony. I can't remember if it was Tony or not, but Tony, I'll say. Um, we stopped at Orange Julius about 9 o'clock in the morning, and we thought we'd get us something to eat there, but all they had was juice. They didn't start serving sandwiches and stuff until later. They had the best fresh squeezed orange juice, Orange Julius. So you could tell you was at the Orange Julius because it was shaped like a big orange sitting on the side of the highway. They were everywhere. So we pulled in there, and I told Tony, I said, he was in his truck, and we didn't have CB radios back in the 50s, 60s, so until late 60s. But I said, I'm hungry as hell. He said, when we get to Fresno, we'll stop at my girlfriend's house. See, he was one of them kind of truck drivers that had a girlfriend in every town. So we stopped at his girlfriend's house, and we went in, and she was living in a trailer house. And he went in, knocked on the door, and she came to the door and let us in. He said, we're hungry in hell. She went over there and she opened up a can of Spam. Not the rectangular shaped can of Spam, the round can of Spam. In California, they had what they call a program to feed the people called commodities. And they were government canned foods that you could get at the food bank, commodities. And you could get that great cheese from Minnesota, Wisconsin, that Velveeta type cheese. Well, she cut us off about a half-inch thick slab of that Spam in that round can, and she fried us a couple of them and then put about a half-inch slice of that Velveeta cheese on the top of it. Let it melt down over the top of that Spam. And she slipped that in between a biscuit, big old cat head biscuit. Right there on her table, she had a bottle of Tabasco sauce. I took the bottom half of the biscuit off and squirted that Tabasco sauce in the biscuit and slapped it back together. Whoa, that was some good eating. Now, I'm sitting there eating my biscuit. Tony and her, they went to the back to eat their biscuits. Now, that's what they told me they was doing. I had to believe, I have to believe that that's what they were doing, was eating biscuits. Now, I mean, they must have been really enjoying eating their biscuits because it sure made that trailer house shake. And finally, when they got through eating their biscuit, they come in and they asked you, I'm ready to go. We went out there and hopped in their truck, and I think we was hauling from somewhere on the other side of the grapevine. We were hauling up to a place called Manteca, California. And it was just outside, it's somewhere near Sacramento. That was our run. And man, I tell you, we had so much good times. He went away for a little spell. The guy, he had a sister that was in love with this old cowboy. But the cowboy had ill manners. He would slap her around quite a bit. So his sister came over and said, that her boyfriend was slapping her around. She had a black eye, and you could see she had bruised up. So Tony said, that ain't going to happen in my world. Tony was a cowboy truck driver. A real cowboy first and then a truck driver. Him and I, we used to haul a lot of cattle. Because I was a cowboy too. Anyhow, yeah, near Tracy. You know where I'm talking about. Uh, old Tony was over to his sister's house, and he took his cowboy spurs. Spur is kind of U-shaped, and on the end there's a rowel out there on the end. He used a little rowel. He didn't have one of them big round, big star rowels. A rowel is that little thing that you gouge the horse with. If you got a good horse, yeah, there's no reason to spur a horse. But a rowel rolls when you roll his flank with that rowel, makes the horse come ahead and move. And anyhow, he stuck that Billy Bobber. Yeah, so, yeah, he went to his sister's house to defend her because her boyfriend had beat the shit out of her. And in our world, we don't allow women to be beat. So Tony stuck that spur, the rowel, between his fingers, and he clamped down on that U-shape, that part that goes around the heel of the boot. When he stepped inside that house, Tony hit him in the jaw, and the rowel went in through the skin and separated his tongue, just cut the bottom of his tongue wide open, right through the gums, right in there. And when he pulled it out, he pulled half the tongue with it. And so they had to get an ambulance out there, and they arrested my buddy Tony. He had to go. I think he went up there towards Tracy, California, in a little Vacaville. No, I think where did he send him? They sent him to a prison up there. He had to do 3 years in the big house because, well, he really messed the boy up with that spur. But you don't mess with somebody's sisters. Hey, Carrie. I was busy talking and not looking at the board here. Everybody's busy. I'm trying to hold it still so it don't digitize or whatever. I never had to worry about my sisters. That sister Connie that comes and joins us on the coffee crew, hell, she got you in a heartbeat. I ain't shitting you. She didn't put up with nothing. Well, that's because we was raised like a bunch of heathens. Now Joyce, she's a pretty mild-mannered person. Joyce always liked guns. When she was living down here in Alabama, me and her, we went together and bought a lot of guns. I'm talking about a lot of guns. Every time I'd go buy AK-47 or AR-15, I'd have to get her one. I'd buy her one. She'd always pay me back. If I bought one time I was in Birmingham and I fell in love with this beautiful pistol. I think it was a 44. It was called the Bulldog. 44 Mac. No, what was that thing? 44 Bulldog. I can't remember. I think it was a 44. A little short gun, had a short barrel on it, and I really liked the thing. And she bought that gun for me. And I had that thing for years. That was a good shooting gun. Oh, that's right. We're not supposed to be talking about guns on YouTube. Good morning, Mark. People out here hustling and bustling, and as y'all can see, the big, beautiful blue sky. We our locale up a little bit. Maybe I can turn the camera around here so you can see my little dog. Hey, little buddy. He's already trying to lick his chest. Mark, I hope everything's good in your world. We do more shopping than any human I ever. I just uh, I don't know why that is. We can get home, and I told her, I said, you know what you can do. Wow, 51 degrees. We're going to be high today at 59, and we were down to 27 last night. And I think it's going to be low tonight. Hey, Robert. We're all going to chip in together and get Robert an electric bike on it, one of them e-bikes there, Sterling. We got to get a GoFundMe thing to get Robert an e-bike. We want to get him one that he can burn rubber, like a quarter mile of rubber. I mean, they got some powerful e-bikes out there. Yeah, I'm gonna make him mad now. He be fighting mad here in a minute. Yeah, you'd have to, one of the requirements. Once we give you the e-bike, you have to make a video of your first impression of the e-bike. I've seen a lot of them YouTube channels where they made their own e-bike. Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. The way I see that whole gay thing there, Robert, is either you are or you ain't. Because they come in every description. I see these big old burly men. I go, oh, man, that's a man amongst men right there. And next thing you know, he'll start talking about his husband. I go, what? I go, no, no, no. In my world, that ain't the way it works. But my world is a little bit different than the world I was born in. We knew about transistors before we knew about transvestites. We didn't know about that kind of stuff, but we did know about transistors. Everything I know about that whole entire world, I learned it on YouTube. The little guy is asleep now. He wanted to come with us. We normally don't bring him when it's cold. He's a well-behaved little guy. I mean, I cannot badmouth him at all. He don't ever try to jump out of the truck, and he don't ever bark at anybody. Or he's just a happy little fella. He's I think going on 15 years old. Cigarette lighters was invented before matches. The hell do you say? We didn't. They must have been some around in the 40s and the 50s. I'm sure they were. Well, we found out later some of our heroes that was on the big screen on the movies. They were gay, and we didn't know about things like that. I think we were sheltered. Um, they just never did talk about that. Because back in our day, they were men that lived their whole lives without getting married, and they would always refer to them as confirmed bachelors. But today, it's a different story. They stoned, yeah. Yeah, I guess they come up with that phrase coming out of the closet. That's when they uh, started appearing. I'm not. Hey, look, this world is like a tapestry. It's full of color. It's full of interesting things. That's what the feeling of freedom is about. You feel free that you've opted to be the way you are, and you have the freedom to exercise that right to be what you are, and enjoy your life. Um, it's just it's just to change the world. That I'm not saying anything negative about to change the world. It just it took a lot of getting used to. Don't ask, don't tell. My buddy, he didn't want his son to go into the military because he said they had converted the military, our U.S. military, into like a gay operation, you know. And I said, does your boy tend to have those tendencies to want to do something like that? He said, no. I said, what would make you think he'd wake up in his bunker with the desire to do something like that? Either he is or he isn't. Now he got a little bit mad. I got to say that he didn't like that, but um, and I'm sure I have probably worked with a lot of them and not even know it because it wasn't none of my damn business. Never did have one to touch me or like to come. You know, I kind of feel rejected now. I was so damn ugly. Even a gay guy didn't even have no interest in me. That was pretty sad. But one thing about really the happy part about it is the ladies. They didn't reject old Mac. The ladies liked old Mac. I was a cowboy. See, you want to win a woman over. You got to have that walk and that talk. Yeah, that's right. You can't be a little bit pregnant. You suck one dick in college and then they want to call you a queer. I hope YouTube don't take away any of the points. Oh yeah, like I was a salty shad during the. You saw the thing I made the other day, about a month or so ago. Salty shad. That was an idea given to me by Motorbomb Virginia, because he was talking about salty shad, and I thought that sounded like a good porn name for old Mac. Old Mac, salty shad. It is. Uh, I enjoyed my show, the Coffee Crew, this morning. Um, the the group there, they was talking about all their equipment, and Mike Ball's got a beautiful studio. Smoke, my God, them guys have equipment. And I used to be all up in that stuff, and hell, I couldn't tell you nothing about things. I remember some of the amplifiers were made by the Harris Corporation that we used in the ham radio. So a friend of mine invited me to come see his new Harris, and I went down to see his new Harris amplifier. This is for ham radio. Ham radio has a legal output of 1,500 watts, and so I go down and he's got this Harris, and the Harris is the size of a telephone booth. It's very large amplifier. It was used in the coal mine industry, and so they, so I go down it, and he showed me on the meter there that put a carrier out of 1,500 watts. That's 1,500, not PEP, but 1,500 RMS. Roots mean square, not PEP, peak envelope power. And he showed me. I go, well, I have no doubt that it would do that. And then he flipped a couple of switches there, and went to a dummy load, and he put out 21,000 watts output on that Harris. It had these iMac tubes, 3CF 20,000s, and it had a 3CF 20,000 solid state iMac tube. That single tube will do a burst of 20,000 watts, but it had a couple of big. The whole cabinet is full of solid. Had tubes, at regular vacuum type tubes, and solid state tubes. And that 3CX 20,000, it takes about 100 amps to run the thing. It's massive. You've got to have a huge squirrel cage fan like you'd run on the heat your house with. And pulse generated power versus a continuous carrier, there's a tremendous amount of heat built on a continuous carrier. And he operates that thing, and that big old fan would come on. Now, he didn't go on the air with it because the law was very clear. 1,500 watts as all he was allowed. I think it's 1,500 PEP watts. But you can have as big an amplifier as you want as long as you don't go more than the legal amount out. And he didn't. He was one of them kind of guys. But my God, to operate that thing was, he had to have 220 and 3-phase and all that stuff. Maybe 440. I don't remember. It's a huge power supply to run the thing. Just to run that, even though he was only transmitting an illegal amount, you had to generate the whole thing. You had to turn it all on, and it would be in standby mode, but you only used the legal amount of power that you was allowed. Okay, we're starting to lose people because I'm talking about all this bullshit. It don't mean nothing to nobody. Yeah, 3CX 20,000 iMac. They weigh about 17 pounds. One tube does. One tube weighs about 17 pounds. It's about probably 8 or 10 inches across the tube. Solid state. Looks like a radiator all the way around the thing, And it has a beryllium arsenide base. That's for the material. The white glass looking material was called beryllium arsenide. That's what it was made out of. The beryllium arsenide on an iMac tube is so deadly that if you try to cut into it, the dust from sawing into a beryllium arsenide base can kill you. There's a warning right on the tube. Beryllium arsenide is it was great for amplification, but it had to be destroyed like hazmat material. I'm just babbling along here. I see, when you're old, your mind just wanders along there, and if it lands up on a subject, you just sort of speak about it a little bit till your mind jumps a track and you get off on something different. That's his life. Yeah, it was a really good show this morning. Everybody was doing their thing, and I enjoyed Sick and Key Fob down there dressed up in their outlaw outfits, the mask, and like I say, they looked like they were ready to go down to Wells Fargo and make a withdrawal. The biggest amplifier I've ever seen in production, in use, we went to a Navy station in Washington State. I wish I could remember the name of the naval facility, but they had a system called Lawrence C, and the Lawrence C was kind of like over the horizon beacon, and it was pulsing 4 million watts. It transmitted a pulse of 4 million watts, and it would sit there and count the seconds off, and the ships sitting in Subic Bay could hear from Washington State. Ships, naval vessels sitting in Subic Bay could dial in on the count, and they could calibrate their radio. Um, and airplanes over at Clark Field in the Philippines could dial in their instruments. This was all back in the 50s and the 60s, so they could dial in so they can get a true heading, and a fixed heading. That's how they navigated back in the day. Back in those days, they had real pilots. People that flew by the seat of their pants. Uh, they just had crude navigation. In fact, some of you guys may not believe this, but some of our early Boeing aircraft and some of the early built by various other companies, they had a little turret up in the top of the airplane, and you'd go up there and take a compass reading with a sextant in the top of the airplane. And they navigated by stars. The North Star when you're north of the equator, and the Southern Cross when you was below the equator. Those were the two fixes you would take, and you would navigate by those. Yeah, 4 million watt. But there's one in Moses Lake, Washington, that's been operating. It's the Loran C. It's a civilian version of the Loran C for navigation. Um, it puts out several million watts, and it's got 4 towers it transmits off. The power is, and of course, let me tell you, I'll tell you the biggest antenna I never saw, but the most powerful one is in Alaska. It's called HARP, HAARP. HARP was tested by the Air Force. It was a very, very good system by the Air Force. You would take all these antennas. They had these 3CF 20,000. They had each antenna had 2 of those tubes operating in a power pack, and there was like 50 or 60 of these in a cluster. And all these antennas would radiate up into the sky. They would beam their signal up 20,000 feet, and they could raise the temperature 20,000 feet above them to over 1,000 degrees using RF, just like a microwave. And what they did is they created these real hot spots, and then that changed. In fact, if you look at this up on Wikipedia, you can probably find information about it. It actually, over a period of years of testing the HARP program, they actually shifted the jet stream, because you know how it works with air and moisture and stuff like that. Hot air rises, cold air is heavy and falls, and so they was able to heat up a place in Alaska to shift the jet stream. And when they knew they had made a mistake is when it started snowing in Saudi Arabia. That was a scary time in our history. HARP has been dismantled maybe 10 years now, 10, 20 years. Hey, America. So, oh my God. Um, I tell you what, yeah, the big one down there in the island, it has been destroyed. It had a 450-ton transmitter that stood above the antenna, and it beamed down into the dish, and then that signal went out into space. 450-ton transmitter. That's a hell of a, as a freight hauler cargo hauler there, Sterling, you just imagine 450 tons of anything. That's what the amplifier, the feed horn, was 450 tons on that thing, to give you an idea how big the antenna was. I watched you this morning, American Uncensored. I watched you this morning, you and Whiskey. What a perfect combination. Out there walking in that snow. See, that's what I love about America. We still yet, there's a lot of things closing in on us and closing in on us fast, whether it be the stuff that they do to the DOT people, like with Sterling, all the changes they've made. I got out when he went to the E-log. We logged everything for years. Over in my closet, I had a box that had 6 years of log books. Once you turn them into HR, they remain with you, or they did in those days. And then they got the e-logging and stuff, and so much control. It just took the fun for me away. But you being able to walk with Whiskey out there and speak about anything you want to talk about without the fear, and probably though the bad sad part about it, it's growing more fearful, because now we're having to hold our tongue a little bit about anything we say. If we talk about something that some of the people don't like, then there's enough of political clout and stuff like that. They can use it like a weapon, and they can silence you. Right now, you have the freedom and independence of being able to walk about with your dog and still feel free as an American. And we want to make sure that never goes away. We as Americans, our country is a warlike nation forever. We, I heard the president speak about why does the Danish people have a right to Greenland? They was only there 300 years ago. They only went there in a boat 300 years ago. Why would they have a right to Greenland? And I'm thinking to myself, why hell? We came over here in a boat too, don't you know the Indians must be saying, what the fuck happened to us? I mean, we was running around here making beads and skinning buffalo, and next thing you know, we're living in a hut eating government cheese. So we don't want that to happen to you either, Americans. Uncensored, we want you to be able to continue laying it down, man. Talk about anything you want to talk about. I mean, look at this. If you offended me in any way, I would have turned it off. And that's the way it should be on if you run up across a channel and they're talking about things you don't particularly like, instead of attacking the individual, just go on and move on and find you a place that makes you comfortable. That's what I've done all my life, is basically found a comfort level. When I found the Coffee Crew, Motorbomb was been so helpful. I wanted to do motovlogging on my motorcycle, and he had a nice setup, and he told me what he was using. I went and got the same equipment, and next thing I know, I was out there riding and talking, and I found it to be a very great release. You can release your frustrations on the road, express yourself, sit there and talk inside your helmet and express yourself while just zipping down the highway. And each of the people that have come to the Coffee Crew, man, a variety of people. If you guys were there this morning, you got to hear Ghost Rider. She was singing this morning live from her heart. It might have been a recording, but she was singing. Tara was singing, and I admire that. I mean, it may not be my cup of tea for music. However, I admire the fact that she's found a place that she feels comfortable with herself and be able to sit here and talk on the coffee crew, and knowing that people are not going to be judgmental. They may have their own silent judgment, but they will not express it. Um, that's a really nice feeling where you can absolutely be yourself. That's me, buddy. We pay for it as we buy it, and I've had people to let me. Well, I have ridden some people's bikes, but I normally tell them I don't ever do anything that I can't afford. 'Cause I live on a fixed income, and I ain't gonna ever extend. Well, here comes the little heifer. I believe that's her. She didn't even call me on the phone. She looked out here and saw the truck. Look at that. I'm way up here. Come on, little girl. You're going to make it. There she is. Look at that. Hey, little girl. She's all. Well, folks, I've enjoyed. We've been here for 46 minutes, probably partially blurred somewhat. Good, bad, and indifference. And if I stepped on any toes, that's a, the world is big, man. Um, I just welcome everybody here, and you don't have to agree or nothing, man. With me, just be yourself. Look at Sterling; he has no trouble being himself. That's what I admire about the man. Sterling is Sterling Wheel. He's not Old Mack, and he's not Motobomb, and he's not sick. He's Sterling Wheel, and each of you guys are individual people that are greatly appreciated. And anything to say? Let's see if I can get it back here. What?
I'm tired.
You're tired?
Yes.
Is it wearing you out?
Yes. I had to backtrack so many times.
You had to backtrack. Well, she wants to bitch me out because I didn't go into the store with her. But my excuse was I stayed out here in Bethesda